sizes, cause my kid grew so fast.
Okay.
Now Sarah's kids are of various sizes. Dash here, is it the same size? I actually don't even know.
Okay, we're getting close here.
Go for
I'd
it.
like to call this meeting to order. We'll start with the flag salute, because our birthday girl leads us in flag salute.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Looks like we have a forum.
We do. Woo-hoo.
That Ruth Kinder is not here. Call for other business items. No, we gotta approve the agenda, I assume. What's this other business items?
Any late things that didn't make it on the agenda?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have something that
Well,
just about both.
I'll move that we accept the consent agenda.
Let me take a look at the meeting minutes and workshop minutes. Those all look good.
I'll second, you made a motion?
Yes.
I'll second the motion.
Second and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Board reports, I'm not certain of what that implies, but I think I'll go to Ron first and let you.
Well, I just, before the meeting, I mentioned to those that were here that I have the last couple of years let projects gone, so I'm actually gonna leave town and spend part of the time in Idaho and part of the time in Long Beach for the next 4 or 5 months to do projects I have in both places. And so I was gonna resign and at least for this time, my position on the park board, and I gave a recommendation of somebody who had expressed an interest in the past to Mike and so. Is that what you wanted me to say? I guess I didn't have anything else to
Sure.
bring for the park board.
Well, for myself, and I think I can speak for us, we will be sorry to see you go.
thank
You
you.
have
That's
always
good,
give
yeah.
us good input.
Yeah.
It's good to have
Thank you for
you.
your service.
Yes,
To the-
absolutely.
the Council and.
Yeah. And I hope your projects are gonna be fun ones.
But it actually, the first thing is rebuilding a deck and rebuilding the porch.
Oh. And
when-
then you
when-
can have
when
fun
you're my age-
afterwards.
When you're my age, you got about 4 or 5 good hours a day working
Yep.
is all you get.
That's why you're not for.
Very
Yeah,
good.
that's because I'm gone so much. The place in Idaho is right on the Salmon River though, and so
Oh, nice.
it's good punishment, you know.
Oh,
I,
yeah.
we're actually leaving for there on Thursday for a short time, so.
Oh, very
yeah.
nice. Sounds good.
Thank you for your service.
Well, it's been an
and,
honor and I kind of feel awful because I've been on such a short time to be leaving so soon, but I'm trying to make sure that I'm at a certain place at a certain time and besides that, I've gotten to the place age-wise where I don't want to start forgetting meetings and
Yeah.
they'll
Life-
start calling me
life goes
Mr.
on.
President or something.
Yeah.
so,
Life goes on and
Yeah.
we have to do what we have to do. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you do have somebody that possibly could
Yeah.
Mhm.
take your place. Very often we have these kind of volunteer operations and somebody says, well, I quit and then we're all going.
Oh, right.
So at least there's a chance that we can get Gary Reboing.
Oh, okay. Okay, he has expressed interest before.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe the mayor or the city can contact him and see if he's would be interested in doing it. I think he is.
Okay.
Mary, you got anything?
I do, actually. I had the opportunity, I met with Joe gave us, and the RCO guys from the state, we did a tour
back in February. It was a bitterly cold, nasty day.
Great, everything is awful.
It was. We spent a lot of time up at the high school. So basically we talked about some of the needs of up at the high school. And then we went in a van and Joe kind of took us drove through the Camp Olson Park and out. We kind of talked about the ponds and went by the boat launch and stuff with some of the things that are going on.
Baseball field.
Yes.
And the middle school.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see that there was no playground whatsoever.
Right.
What do you mean? There's the concrete step.
Yeah.
Like, not with, imagination.
Yeah.
You're imagining to-
Right. So it was really nice to be a part of that group and to hear the different inputs and stuff too, though, and to get it to actually, hear kind of Joe's perspective of it too, and some of the comments and questions that the guys from RCO had also. It was good. So I think it's a great program.
Yes. Well, Nick is in charge
Mhm.
of the grant, but it's most of what they were looking at as a policy to strengthen,
Mhm.
and so to be more inclusive,
Right.
actually, to be more inclusive.
And one of the things that was pointed out too, and that we had discussions with them about, is the fact that we are a small town.
Mhm.
And it's hard for us sometimes to compete with larger jurisdictions, municipalities, so. And they were very interested.
So think of that in the back of your minds as you're thinking of projects to do, and you don't quite know the answers to things, that they are a resource for you, the economic ones. And so think of that.
Yeah, my only concern is,
I mean, they fell through twice. Oh, they'll fall through multiple times. They're not a priority to them at all.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but they are available for us and we are on the burner. We're there on the burner, but not necessarily. Well, we just need to be a squeaky wheel. Yeah, totally.
That's it.
And I really thought we were gonna get granted last fall.
So
because
you actually have an agenda item for this.
Yeah.
If we can move on.
Yeah, we do have it, so.
Okay, Ruth's not here, let's see. Well, we haven't officially.
Yeah.
No.
A couple of things I want to say is that, I got an email yesterday and it was concerning the car show we're gonna have in June. And that it's a big invitational thing and to go, in fact, it was Discover Lewis County, wanted to know, they didn't know anything about this and they want to put it on their big calendar and all of that. And they had a phone number. So I called the phone number and talked to the lady and she said, yeah. I said, so what group are you with? And she says, oh, we're with the Toledo Chamber of Commerce. Well, that's good. I said, yeah. I said, which Toledo? And she said, Walport again. I said, oh, okay. Forget that, so that's not happening. The thing that is happening. The thing that is happening is the big community meeting and, I don't know, is that somewhere on the?
No, I think Sherry reached out to you about being on the council agenda, which is a more appropriate venue for that.
Okay. So I can't talk about it.
You can, yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, I was hoping to have one person from the planning committee board to present what's happening with the parks.
I was looking at this film. But the idea is that people have questions about what's going on with the park, and I thought, well, give them 3 minutes and we can kind of give them an idea, maybe a suggestion box from people at this big community meeting and so on, but we'll see how that all plays out. Happening. Okay, well, public hearings, we have no public hearing.
Input?
Yep. But
At the end of the meeting,
Okay.
same agenda
Same
as
thing.
council.
Yep, okay.
so new business, Stephanie, we have
And Sherry will do it remotely.
Okay.
So
okay.
take it away, Sherry.
All right, so I'm gonna have you stand and bear with me,
And you're gonna want that piece of paper. The
just
bottom.
in case you can't hear my squeaking. All right, raise your right hand. I'll have you repeat after me. I, Stephanie Rouse,
I, Stephanie Rouse,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I am a citizen of the United States,
that I am a citizen of the United States,
the state of Washington, and the city of Toledo,
the state of Washington, and the city of Toledo,
that I will support the Constitution and laws
and I will support the Constitution and laws
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
and the ordinances of the city of Toledo,
and the ordinances of the city of Toledo,
and will, to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability,
and to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability,
truly, faithfully, diligently,
truly, faithfully, diligently,
and impartially perform the duties
and impartially perform the duties
of the position of Park Board member
of the position of Park Board member
for the city of Toledo,
for the city of Toledo,
Lewis County, Washington,
Lewis County, Washington,
as such duties are prescribed by law, so help me God.
as such duties are prescribed by law, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to board.
Yes.
Thank you. Stephanie. And last name? Rouse, R-O-U-S-E. So I take it I sign this? I have
Yeah.
one for this time. Okay.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
If they haven't been on so already, they will send you a email
I got one.
on the online training.
Yep. Yep.
Already.
Yeah, I think it's good to get that up.
Yeah.
Okay, we could digress here and see if you have any report to, you are on the board.
No report, just, thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, tree trimming, discussion plan on that. Cindy, do you have some details on that?
Well, so tree trimming has been brought up in several venues.
Yep.
And right now, the tent spot that has the barbecue cannot be used because we still have some hanging limbs that we have no equipment to reach. And you also have the mayor in your midst. I think it's basically, how do we move forward and actually get that work done?
Is there money budgeted for tree?
There is.
Like
There is.
$5,000.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. And in the past, we've also gone after the risk management grants. But I think that there are other people that are also interested in that money as well. So, but yes, I believe, Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that there is some budget that was allocated for 2024 for tree trimming, independent of ARPA and independent of any other grants. Is that correct?
I do believe you are correct, yes. And I know I had spoken briefly, with the Public Works, and that was Mike before he left, about the potential for, maybe renting a man lift as well to remove what tree limbs are hanging. But I know the trees did have a good trimming last year, but I know that there are bound to be limbs that need to come down again this year. So we do need to look into getting that done, and we can work with Rachel and the Small Works roster.
Is that something you're willing to take on then? And
Yeah, I can talk with Rachel as soon as I get back in office.
Just as a one point or question I have, are there other, on any other city properties, are there other trees that need to be looked at or something? Should we lump it all together and do, if we're gonna get a bid, we're gonna go out, we gotta go out and get bids. Can we do it all?
so the other tree that has been in discussion off and on is the one that we use at the boat ramp for the Christmas tree.
Yes,
So that should probably be
Right.
on the list to consider.
okay. Yeah. I think if we're gonna do some tree trimming, let's do it all, unless somebody has other suggestions or other monies that we might get for other things.
Do we have to present that to the city council as a proposal?
Right.
Well, no, the fact that it's slated in the budget, no. I think it's just a matter of just making sure that it doesn't drop off a to-do list.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go for that. If we need Yeah.
Up it on the.
So the next step, just so we're all clear, I guess, then the next step is just to go use the Small Works roster and get bids, solicit bids, right? And then we make a determination. Right, or then the city council will make a determination on who we're gonna give the bid to, right?
Correct.
So I think, oh,
If it's on the small work roster, do you still need to get 3 bids?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a dollar amount
it's a dollar, yeah.
stipulation.
I think we want to keep the tree trimming discussion on the agenda till it's
Yes,
done.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it does stay on the case.
yeah,
Burner.
okay.
Okay, next item is park plan update. And let's see, we had a bunch of those. Held up. Everybody looked that over?
Yeah.
Look okay to you?
What,
Park plan update?
so
Or
Joe, do you
Are
want
talking
to
about minutes?
drive this conversation?
Yeah,
Because it kind of came from Joe.
yeah,
Okay.
The reason that I am looking at the park, a comprehensive park and recreation plan, it was actually created or updated in 2016.
mhm,
For us to be able to get grants through rec and conservation and possibly some other like fish and wildlife and other forestry type grants, we do need to have a current park plan. I looked at that and it's in our 2020 plan, but it's very basic.
it's in our 2020.
Extremely basic. Yes,
Yeah.
it's extremely basic. And that probably won't meet the criteria. because
Probably won't.
This was, they had one on file, it's just expired.
Yeah,
But it has to be for the, one of the grants we want to talk about today was a grant that we don't have to have it in as far as the grant paperwork is until May 1st. However, they want your park plan to be on file by March 1st. Not something we can
Whoa.
do because there is work that needs to be done on here. Because we have parks now that we didn't have when this was written. And also we need to separate the recreation plan more from the regular, because it looks like we have control over some of these other places that are listed in here and we do not.
and you don't.
And so but the fabulous thing about this separate area of recreation plan, that is an outstanding piece of work for tourism. As a separate tourism plan that could be separated too, and we could then say we have a tourism plan. It's, whoever did this did a really good job, actually, really good. But
because the prices that are listed in there are no longer effective. All of those things have to be looked at. And the Eagle is now not just the Eagle, it's the plaza, and the jail is now considered a mini park, not just the jail itself, and things like that. And I don't even think Steamboat Alley is in here. I haven't seen really, so.
I didn't see that. I looked over it.
I see, and I thought that later, and I realized, oh, well, maybe I missed it, so anyway. So
Sounds to me like we need a workshop,
we do need a
Yeah.
workshop to do that.
sit down and.
What I want from you today is that part of it, but also, and I think I probably have to go get your permission first and then go to city council with this. And I can file an exception that we cannot get this done in a short amount of time. And there is a form to do that. And the guy that we have to file it through happens to be Nick Norton, who came here. And it was him that sent me the park plan. He said, hey, you have one. And, you know, you're just gonna need to update it and resubmit it. So, if it's okay with you, I would ask at city council also to, get permission to file an exception saying, you know, what we would like to, request that. And that was why I called you and asked. Part of that is that it's, the exemption asked that it's going, the reason it's delayed and you're not updating it is because you're updating your whole growth, urban growth or growth management act.
Yeah,
Growth
it's in
management
the whole book,
act. Yes.
and it's just literally like one paragraph in that book.
Yeah, so that would not be suitable. This is exactly what they're looking for, something really comprehensive. And we would need to add, I think we're shopping. Outlets, what are we calling that? Outlets Landing, I think, or something like that part. Add in that as well, so that we can start focusing
I
on
think
that.
that's mentioned in there, isn't it? That how it's
Yeah,
river.
it
I
is.
think it is.
There's a
But
couple
all
of
it was the old
Yeah.
lagoon. Or no, that was different. It was the,
Yeah,
there was some
There's
property.
Alex River Park. And then there was also the riverfront property too, that was mentioned in this too.
so are they considering that all as one since it's?
It's this, they're called out separately. They're called out separately.
One of them is the vacant lagoons, and the other was, the city purchased some land or swapped it or something from.
Yeah, and the lagoons,
DNR.
the ponds are called out separately also.
Yeah.
So they're.
And we would want to
decommissioned
decide when we
ponds.
do the book is combine it all, because when we do an aerial map, it shows them now as all combined.
Mhm.
But we can, that would be up for discussion when we work on this.
Yeah, we'll get a workshop.
So do you need to vote? I can be on the board. so I can-
You need a motion that you're recommending council request a exception.
Okay,
I would move.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. To further that discussion, though, just for our planning going forward then, do you feel, how would it be best, or how do we feel it would be best? Do we all want to get together and have a workshop, or is there an opportunity for us to just have a smaller committee and do an outline to bring it then to the board?
I'm fine with either way you want to do it. I would
Anybody?
love to have this done. I know, or at least some ideas of where we meet. Because the big community meeting, we can put on the board what we feel are ideas that we want people to, you know, the dots that we used to do. Would you like to see, you know, a pool? Would you like to see an archery range out there? Adult exercise, outdoor equipment, whatever it is, and then have the dots. But I don't want to be the one that is up, you know what I mean? It needs to be a group idea, of what you would like to have on there. So.
Yeah.
Do you want to, is it possible to meet before that?
Yeah, I think that we could have a workshop to talk about.
Yes.
Getting that together as best as we can, but then also putting out the request from the public.
Yeah, and see, that will be part of one of the grants that I'm going to talk to you about too, is public input is a huge thing in some of these grants. And so the big community meeting is a cost-effective way to do that, get a big, broad overview of the public and get their opinion, so.
Okay. So when is the community meeting?
It's March the 19th.
Okay, so we should
Yeah.
meet fairly quickly.
We could have a workshop for, and I think it should be all of us on
Okay.
the board.
I'm so good with that.
And
There's also,
go ahead.
there's also, right now, there's a grant coming available to upgrade current building facilities. And it's due by October. So think about that too. So keep that in your work plan.
And we'll get together and you can tell me what grant that is.
Okay,
So
so
there's the
also,
grants for every.
This grants for everything.
yeah, pretty much.
So are you guys prepared to set a workshop date?
Yeah, what was the date?
I can go next week sometime,
Did that Friday seem to work okay?
but for Carly, if we do it, it needs to be earlier in the day, I think, when she's actually at work. So she's not-
it's fine.
Okay,
Sure.
works for me.
That.
What time on Friday?
I'm open all day
Well, the office closes at noon,
at noon, right?
so Carly will be a lot more available after afternoon.
Okay, and that's okay if she has comp time or something?
So
Guess we
say,
should ask your boss.
say it one.
That's perfect.
That
Works for me.
Okay,
What?
And
Okay.
what Friday are we looking,
This one?
the 23rd.
this coming up, this week?
Oh, this one is the 16th, next week is the 23rd.
Okay.
Will that give everybody a chance to review these,
Yeah.
this 37-page document,
I think that would be great.
the
What
16th,
Would you suggest 16th or 23rd?
23rd.
23rd?
We all need time to really.
Really dig into it.
Write your ideas on. them,
Yeah,
and Be able to say, because it's a lot.
it's a
walk
lot.
around and look at it.
Oh, yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that way too, city council
Or
will
drive
have met, and we'll have some answers from some things here. For that,
that's right. Okay,
okay?
okay, yeah, because council will meet that week on the 19th, so the 23rd.
Okay.
That works for me,
1 P.M.
1 p.m.
I will make available the 20-year comp plan just as a reference. You don't need to read through it. It's a 70-page document, but
But if we
But-
have questions, we can refer to it.
Can we get the whole 37-page document though that we currently have that we're working off, that we're reviewing, can we get that printed for all of us? 'Cause I don't know, maybe you guys don't want it, but I like paper copy, so
I
I
do
can
too.
scribble on
Okay.
it. Okay. So, yeah,
We're old school.
yeah.
Visual.
Yeah.
I'll email it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't email it.
No, I'll
We've
email
already
you.
got
That's what I meant.
Okay.
Come pick it up.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank
we
you.
have 2 already, so.
Yeah, we got that.
Okay, moving on,
Mhm.
discussion of RMSA grant.
That is through the American Association of Washington City.
Okay.
And that's the grant that we have talked about in the past, as having received that to Oxford the Park and tree trimming.
It's a risk management,
Oh, that's the
risk management. grant.
Okay,
So that's what our.
and it's for $5,000.
I'm not sure how much it's for, but we can use money from that fund
Okay.
to.
So you have to put a grant in, am I correct?
Yes, you need to put
Okay, and I can't do that, I came to that last time, because I can't be the city, I can't get into that city. Yeah, it's gotta be somebody from the city, would you like to write that?
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
She got the grant last time, and what the reason we were asking for the grant this time is not for tree trimming, but, for the playground. Because I did not get all the bids in time for the grants that I asked for previous. So that did not include, parts, because I had no idea how much we could get them and how much it was going to be. And I would like to keep the money that we have, the 15,000 from, the various service organizations,
Which,
plus the 25. thousand, from, hotel motel tax. That's gonna only be partial of what I need to do for the new stuff and to upgrade. So, it's just what they say, 6,500, for the, replacement parts on the existing playground. And that includes labor and then bringing it.
Yeah, they would do the whole thing.
They would do the
Don't-
whole thing, and the great thing with that is this is a risk management grant, and we can add that into that, that it's gonna be professionally replaced. It's not gonna be community volunteers kind of cranking
Volunteers.
on that, need if we can get it fit,
Okay.
because that's very old equipment. So, and it's gonna take me a while to actually, get that made. So the sooner we can find out about the grant, the better off I'm gonna be with the timelines.
They gave us a quote.
Yes,
How long is that quote good for?
probably a while. They did it in December. Like I said, they missed every grant
Right.
thing. So I couldn't even get, I have sent it, and apparently, it did go out to the city council, that bid.
It did, and then I tried to send it several times, and for some reason I text stupid and I can't
Oh,
like download it. I've gotten it, but I can't send it. So I
Okay.
can look at it.
okay.
And, I sent it to, Sherry, and I sent it to, Rachel, but it comes back as failed.
Oh, okay.
So perhaps can you send it to Sherry?
Yes,
Because I have tried.
yeah, and I don't know anybody's emails either and phone numbers to contact anybody here, so maybe at the end we can do that so that I can keep you up to date.
Yes, I mean, as soon as you send it to me, I have done it.
So-
Then I went to go check it and check what happened, and I'm like, oh my God, came back as failed.
But the great thing with that, they also sent complete original manuals to that. So if anything is failing, or we need other parts, or if there's ever any questions, and they need to try to figure out how to fix something, the original plans of what it originally looked like before we got it secondhand. So that might help as well in the future. So I was really grateful to see that they were willing to do that. And,
Now, where is that company out of?
that company is, local, up in, Issaquah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, up in Issaquah. So, that's gonna save us a lot on shipping and whatnot.
And, I think the last time that, Mike or John did a, numbered, check on how good that playground was, it was not,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
low.
Yeah, really severe. So that's when, they asked if I would find some grants for, either a new playground or replacement. And, all of that. So that's how that came about, was because they thought they were gonna have to shut it down by this year if we didn't have something.
And they're able to manufacture, get us all the parts. That was.
Yes, the original parts aren't manufactured anymore, but they have, comparable parts. They said that they know will fit. But if they don't, we've got them on the hook, more or less, so that they will try to be able to, manufacture something that will fit. So that's good.
Okay. So when does that grant have to be submitted?
We do it
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
now, and
Good.
we're gonna use that, the weather, the freezing weather this year got down where all that metal is separated and made it even worse, so that now it's really nice.
Yeah, once that, vinyl coating cracks, then the
Yes.
water gets in there.
Yeah.
And I just want to confirm, Emily, you're going to lead the charge on this?
I can absolutely lead the charge on this, yes, I just need to have the, approval of the park board and approval of the council, to have the go-ahead on this.
Do we have approval from the park board?
I make a motion
I'll second.
that we approve Emily to lead the charge on this grant.
All in favor?
Aye.
If you need any wordsmithing, I'm happy to come help with you. I just to let you know, I did take a, grant writing course, this last year, so,
It's gonna come in here.
it's gonna come
Yeah.
handy.
Anything else on that topic? Okay, let's go to unfinished business, Camp Folsom Park rules and regulations. You guys take a look at those? Okay.
I just had one question on the campground rules and number 7, pets and animals. It says no horses and other livestock are not allowed, but we did discuss that and I apologize, I don't remember where we came out on that. But I remember these days, we always have horses in there.
Yeah.
So. But
I thought that horses were in the area between the elementary school and
Okay.
Camp Olson, not
Is
actually.
that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What,
Thank you.
what came up at the last meeting was that there are other rules that are posted that says like no horses and that type of stuff there. And my thing is that either we need to include it in this or we need to take down the signs.
Redo those signs, yeah.
Yeah, and I would suggest that, all we really need is something, kind of a coverall thing, any other additional rules are posted or something like that. Because you certainly don't want horses in there, because horses make fertilizer. But, there's a guy who has horses. And, but the real thing is that, if you're gonna have any kind of rule posted here, then it should be included in there, whether it's horses or whatever.
That's good. I'm okay to that would say.
Stephanie, did you see anything?
No, that looked great.
Okay.
So I'll take a motion to pass that along.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we approve the campground rules as drafted.
I'll second.
I.
Been seconded, all in favor?
I.
Aye. Okay, unfinished business, Toledo Tell status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be our mayor.
Yeah.
Indeed. So I did meet with Toledo Tel again recently. We discussed again the camera situation. They're putting together a proposal to do not just or not to do the Arlo cameras, but to do a hardwired camera system, which would give us better quality, but we will be putting it so that we've got access to or visual on the bathrooms for both sides, as well as the front end of the kitchen. Those are the areas that seem to be where we're going to see the vandalism the most.
Right.
Those are the areas that we really wanted to focus on. And again, once I'm back in the office, I can get back in touch with Dylan. He's supposed to have that to me so it can be brought to council for next week's meeting. So we can move forward with that. We will also be replacing the cameras at the boat launch as well. And I believe we're looking to do, I think it's 4 cameras at the boat launch and 2 cameras at the park currently, but they're drafting me bids for both an 8 camera system and a 16 camera system so that we do have room for growth if we're needing it.
Okay.
Those, by the time we have the next park board meeting, we should have received the bids in. I should have been able to take them to council for approval or discussion. And then I'll be able to give you guys an update at the next park board meeting as well as to where we're at with getting the cameras and the Wi-Fi and everything tied in down there.
Excellent.
Okay.
Sherry, any more discussion about camper available Wi-Fi?
They're still working on that. There has a lot to do with the password changes. And so Dylan's really trying to figure out the best method to make that happen and have it be accessible and also have it secured. So again, he's working on it. There's a lot of ifs and whats that he's trying to get through on that.
Okay, there currently is a grant called Tourism Regeneration. Are we going to be paying for this services? Sherry, are they volunteering those things to us or?
No, we will be paying, the city will be paying for those services.
Okay, well, this tourism regeneration is through the state of Washington tourism. And it says specifically, this grant is intended to foster safer, more inclusive and sustainable visitor experience across the state and drive overnight visitation. I think we have a case here that would make things a lot safer for people.
Absolutely.
And yes, the camera system is one of the main things I'm thinking, because that is going to, make for a better visitor experience if there's no vandalism going on.
What about the cameras that we already have from the Lions Club? So I thought we already have a whole bunch of cameras too.
Yeah, Lions Club forked out a couple $1,000.
Yeah,
It's
so
Those cameras never showed up.
Yeah.
That I'm aware of.
I don't know if we ever paid it or not.
I don't think,
So who bought them? Where are they? Who bought them? Where are they?
so that was
Because
the
I
thing.
know, and Cindy Philbrook was asking me that. I don't know the
The other
answer to
thing
that
that-
question.
The other thing that might happen is that the Lions Club, because the Lions Club is so good at it, might have committed to pay for them, and then nobody bought them. And because I know that that type of thing happens
So
all
we
the
need a
time.
receipt.
Well, we need to find out whether or not they actually paid for them, and then you know who it was.
Yeah,
And if not, then you need to just confirm that they still have that commitment,
yeah,
and then you have that money available.
right. I mean, were they paid for and then does Toledo Tel still have them somewhere or?
Yeah, I would say that seeing some of the things that happen when it comes to cameras at the park, that there's a good chance that nobody went back to the Lions Club and say, now we want our $2,000 because it wasn't followed up on the purchase. And I'm speaking a little bit out of school there, but that would be my best guess scenario of what took place. And so it might be that that money is still committed, and we need to confirm that to the Lions Club, but there wouldn't be any reason why they would
Absolutely.
continue with their commitment.
How long ago did they make it?
Years.
Couple years ago, yeah, and if you, because you knew,
As soon as the vandalism started.
the Lions Club is really the go-to. When you want something done, then the Lions Club is probably the most generous organization I've seen in my life, of all 75 years. As far as, but they make a lot of commitments. And then there isn't a follow-on of the person who asked for the commitment. So the money doesn't necessarily change hands that day. And so this is, I think there's a good chance that that money was never spent.
Oh, I seem to remember though, and I had a couple of conversations with Toledo Tel too, that there were cameras, but they were solar operated. Which kind of makes no sense, and nobody really knew
Under
who
the
had
canopy and
access.
the
Yeah,
trees,
under the canopy, so they might be there, just.
So do we need to ask the former mayor?
Maybe.
So I can kind of speak to that. I've talked a lot with Dylan.
Yeah.
They did put in the solar camera or the solar charging Arlo cameras. The problem is that they were never able to get those cameras up online. So whereas the city we pay for those cameras that do not work every single month. It is on our phone bill.
Oh.
Yes, so that is why I have been on top of Toledo Tel and in contact with them regularly, pushing them. So there will be some workings done to recoup some of that cost. But that's why we're looking more towards hardwiring. But of course, we're gonna have to put them in places where there is power accessible to wire them into, but those ones will last a lot longer and be way more reliable than the solar powered ones.
Okay, can I have a motion then that we check into this grant? It's $50,000. But the application gives us time. It's September 2nd to the 30th is the opening date of this year for that grant. to be written, turned in. That would give you some months here, because we've got some other big grants coming up.
You got
Is it, do you pay it back?
No, oh,
no match, right?
it does not say anything, about a match, but that, like I said, that'll give me time to actually check into it. Since I'm just.
Then you want to do the motion?
So I just say I'd like to make a motion. Okay, that's, I'll make a motion, yes.
For Joe
For Joe to look into that. grant.
Then we can make a proposal, I can bring that also up at city council.
I would say.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous again. I remember, Ruth Kinder said something about one of the cameras was connected somehow to a light switch.
The one in the camp, and the one in the kitchen.
Yeah, and if you flip the switch to the camera.
No, right.
Or on.
So that's all
Yeah.
part, this is all part of what Sherry's working on.
Yeah.
Apparently they don't really come online.
Okay, moving on, steps to the gazebo status.
Everybody draw a picture? Did you draw a picture? I was hoping you were gonna draw a picture.
That was the task from last meeting.
They read it down.
And since you are the resident artist here, I was just gonna defer to you.
Let the record note that Morgan dropped the ball.
Still is a nice idea.
I tried to draw a picture of the 18th grand out of my office.
Oh.
That's where my.
She looked for it. Right, starting on.
Let's see, other businesses, a walk in the park management discussion. We, have been talking about this, particularly last year, and, one of the thoughts was maybe moving it from the weekend that it has been for the last few years to maybe earlier. One thing we need to pursue is to see if Janine Washington intends to do a day in the park again. And if she does, then what would work best for her, and then if we could, because there's nothing sacred about the, what is it, the third or fourth Saturday or whatever, but
Yeah. Do we have trouble getting, do we want, is the thought of moving it because people don't come at that time? Is there a better time? Is that what the thought was?
Weather mostly.
Weather
The
mostly.
third weekend of September is,
Iffy, huh?
we did it Saturday after Labor Day, whatever that happens to be.
That's only a week sooner, it might be, just before, 2 weeks before Labor Day. Or the week before Labor Day might be, reaching better weather, get cold. And I think that it's, one of those things we should plan on being a standalone. I think that if they redo that day in the park, that, at this point in time, and I did talk to Jeannie a little bit about it. And, I think it might, that certainly isn't something that is, currently on their agenda to continue on a regular basis. And though it could change, but if it does, then we can make the adjustment. But I think the real issue is to get it set and changed up enough so that we can promote it enough so we have more people that would participate in it. And, it started as kind of a simple fundraiser in effect to maintain that fountain thing, the water thing. And it did its job, but, I think the purpose needs to be the betterment of the whole park. And maybe all the parks in town, and promote it as such, you know. But I think up until last year, and COVID had a horrible effect on everything in life. But it dropped down to just about nothing for last year. And last year you had, did you know how many participants, was it
Oh,
30 or so?
yeah, it was about 30, and I think the donation total was, I want to say just shy of 450.
Yeah, which is nice, but you know, you would think that it has the capacity to be 4 or 5 times that, 10 times, you know.
The donations, a lot of that came from the Janine's thing, wasn't it?
No,
Oh, this has been.
that was all from the park, the walk.
Yeah.
That's what I collected. So
I think she.
Yeah.
I thought Gabe.
now the reality is on that is that half of that donation came from the Bordy family. So they're very generous every year. So I don't sit on the park board, so if you don't mind my opinion. So I think first and foremost, that family needs to be at the forefront, and this really is a memorial walk.
Sure.
And yes, the fundraising is nice, but anyway.
That was Esther's initial, was to put in a water park
Right,
of some
right.
sort. And the way to do it would be to have a water
Mhm.
One thing about Esther is that she was well loved enough that and for the family to include her vision with it, you know. But to be honest with you, what does that pay the electric bill or water bill? What, you know? Yeah, and
So, I mean, the reality is that we are now tracking revenue for the park.
Yeah.
And there is enough revenue to cover those base amenities
Yeah.
that the park uses. So the fact that the walk in the park is a fundraiser, I guess the question is how important is the fundraising piece of this as opposed to having an event that celebrates Esther?
I agree with you there.
So,
Yeah, and because in reality, probably Esther said hello to 3 times as many people that show each day, the 3 times as many people that show up to the event. So I think if we, whatever we do, the spirit behind it needs to be to promote and to get people to attend.
well, and Mike mentioned a couple of times, you know, if we plan ahead enough, getting sponsorship for the commemorative t-shirts would at least cover that cost and then some potentially.
Yes.
So depending on how much you want to charge for sponsorship.
So do we go ahead and look at a weekend in towards the end of August to set it for so we have good weather?
Yeah. I think that would be one of our considerations about the end of August is making sure that we're not overlapping with another local community thing going on.
The biggest thing at the end of August is the return to school.
Yes.
Right.
And people are going that one last time away from here to go camping. And the same with the long weekend.
I think that's why we zeroed in on
I
after
think
Labor
so, after Labor Day.
I would like for our big community meeting to have that date kind of set so we can tell people.
The weekend right after Labor Day.
Yeah,
I don't want-
that's kind of what.
Or keep it where it is.
weather now is unpredictable, doesn't matter when.
I was gonna say, global warming is getting warm.
But could we also look at moving those boats, all those booths? Everyone was done with the walk and leaving, and they weren't coming in till 1 and 1:30. So the people that walked in the morning have left and gone home, they're not coming back
Right.
in the afternoon, so they need to be there in conjunction with the walkers. You're
Or,
done with your walking and, okay, now I'm gonna go and do, you know,
or two separate weekends, just don't worry about them. We do the walk in the park is one thing, and the day in the park can be separate. But,
it's too many things.
Yeah.
I think if we're gonna commit to one thing, put it all into it. and do it.
So did I misunderstand, Ron, that Ms. Washington is not planning on doing this?
I'm speaking out of school because we're actually talking on an entirely different
Oh, okay.
subject, but my impression with her is that she was not planning on going forward, or she was undecided on that. And the only thing, I think that what I was saying was more in what Joe was saying, in the sense that we should not make our decision based upon what they're doing, let them make their decision based upon what we're doing, and then we would adjust accordingly. And I would be misleading if I said she wasn't gonna have it.
Gotcha.
But she did imply that it did not turn out the way she. Okay. Did I clarify that a little bit?
Absolutely. So it sounds like, well, so if you guys want to make a decision now, and then someone can follow up with Ms. Washington.
I think that's probably what is the way to go on it. If they can do it then great, and if they can't, well.
Right.
Sometimes we get music too, like live music. You know, that's making a fair amount of noise, it's not obnoxious if you have campers, but, you know, in support of that event. And I know she told me last year, she had a very tough time because people didn't call her and tell her they weren't showing up. And, you know, she put out a lot of extra stuff for them, and, you know, it was really unfortunate for her.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, so since Mike needs something for the community meeting.
Yeah. So what date would you all suggest? There was, you suggested September 14th? September 14th? I think that'd be a good day. It's just after they just got back in school, they still now the exam. We could.
September 14th.
Well, it's the weekend after Labor Day weekend, right? Because it's gonna change every year.
Right, okay,
And,
gotcha.
Yeah.
So the Saturday after Labor Day.
Yeah, Saturday, yeah.
Okay, well, in that case, that would be the 7th. of
Is
April.
that the 7th? Okay.
Yeah, Labor Day falls on Monday, the 2nd.
Okay.
This coming year. So that, do you want to do it on the 7th or the 14th? Either one would be moving it up because we have the
Yeah.
3rd.
You decide.
I say right after the one after Labor Day, the third.
Yeah. it's
The-
November.
yeah.
It's the weekend after Labor. Day.
Yeah, it's easy.
The Saturday after Labor Day.
Yeah.
Saturday. A walk in the park.
I make a motion to use the Saturday after Labor Day.
Okay. I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous again.
And time?
Details, yeah, I don't know, whatever we've done in the past.
Yeah, I can't remember what the time usually is. Okay.
It's like at 11, isn't it?
Yeah, I honestly can't
I
remember.
think it's 10.
Okay. I will look up the past times.
By the way, since we're talking about stuff at the park, I went to my Cheese Day board meeting last night. You know, one of the things they're going to do is different for this year is they're gonna have a big dinner sort of thing in the park on the Thursday. Instead of having it up at our place, the art center, they're gonna do it at the park, and it's sponsored by Paula Burrows. And it's gonna be a big dinner, big deal for the big cheeses. So, I don't know, that's the plan. First they have to go through the city to make sure they get to do that. But that's their plan. Have a big to-do on the Thursday, Cheese Day Thursday. And then Friday is the frog jump and all the rest of it. Parade on Saturday.
So it's just gonna be, changing
The venue.
the venue from Memorial Arts Center to.
Small operation to a much bigger.
Sweet,
Yeah.
I could just walk on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just as a side note there. Updating park toilets and adding gravel to park discussion. Oh, adding
So
gravel to
this,
the park.
this was put on the agenda per Emily's request.
Yes, per my request. I also have another thing to add, but I'm not sure if that, well, it could be on the agenda too. I'm not sure when we bought bathrooms for the bathroom in the
Toilets.
park. Yeah, toilets
Yeah.
in the park last. Because we've had several complaints, about flow, and they're just really old and funky, and
You had a really cool picture.
yeah, I feel like we could do better if you go to most other parks, high flow toilets. They're just better. High volume, quality with every flush. I'm sounding like a commercial here. Maybe it's something that we get second hand. I'm not sure, but I would like for you guys to talk about it. And see what you guys can come. The other thing was, talking about perhaps asking Vision Toledo or the Lions Club to hire a gardener for the city. To work partial, part-time, or however many hours, I'm not sure. To clean up, the raised beds, in and around town. Our two full-time public works, are not able to do that. They're busy working on city. One guy is in training and the other guy is training him, and don't really have time to do gardening. And so I'm thinking that, that would be, I know that Common Grounds is a organization that was formed after COVID, and I know they've got some funding, so I was thinking it might be a good idea to ask them.
So you're talking about the planters around the town?
Yeah, there's a lot of planters, they have dead plants in them, the city has plants. I bought with my own money, I bought plants and put them in the planters, those big ones that are over there, the succulents. Because I couldn't stand looking at dead plants anymore this last year. And I put succulents in front of City Hall because I couldn't stand looking at dead plants anymore. I bought that with my own money. I didn't get reimbursed, I'm not asking to get reimbursed. Because it looks like hell. And so we are low on volunteers. People, there's the same volunteers that volunteer over and over and over, and they get like volunteered 6 ways sideways. So I think asking volunteers to do one more volunteer thing is, asking a little too much. So that's why I'm thinking it'd be a good idea. That's my 2 cents.
I definitely agree that volunteers here in the city get pulled 100 ways from
Yeah.
sideways, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think the city we would need to look at all those different areas that need to be kept up and have a list of real, because I remember when I first moved here, I didn't know anybody, but somebody asked me if I could.
Like jail?
Well, I actually watered, somebody was on vacation, and whoever this lady was, she watered the plants around the post office.
Yeah.
And so I came and did that. So I totally understand. I think we need to know what all those areas are
Mhm.
before we can say, let's hire somebody, because then
Oh,
we have to
sure.
really decide what they're gonna actually do. And I think, given some of the discussion too about maintenance versus park host, duties and stuff, we need to be pretty clear about what duties those guards have to do. So.
Is there a new, you said there's somebody in training now for, what happened to Mike Fisher?
He
retired.
Okay, that's my thought. So you got somebody that's now gonna take his place or? Yeah, okay.
But that person didn't work out and they're currently doing working interviews for a second person.
Oh, okay.
So there are several in the interview
Yeah.
loop at the moment.
Okay. So that's under.
Yes.
under progress, yeah.
Excuse me, do we have funding set aside to provide plants for those? And he says no.
But we have groups like Vision Toledo and.
Yes.
and,
Yeah.
Lions Club, but certainly Vision Toledo is.
Yeah.
Do that. So if you spend $1,000 on plants, that'd be a hell of a lot of plants. that you could put all in.
Would be.
Yeah.
This
And-
may also be a good time to reach out to the high school. Since the classes are needing their volunteer hours, that would be the perfect time for them to jump in and make their mark on town as well as get their volunteer hours in. So that's something we should probably reach out to the high school about.
But they all got public
It's never
service
gonna get
hours,
better than right now.
That's right.
especially the ones that graduate this year.
Yeah.
So we have the next thing, I'm not moving on without, but in conjunction with item C and other business, we have a visit to the park, to look at placement of new campsites. But maybe we should then, as a group, what would you guys think about going as a group and identifying all those areas in the city where we need to do things? And this would be helpful for us too, if we did it very soon, because we could look at some of those other things that are talked about in our comp plan too. And that's our comp plan. Have a little mini tour of the city, and then we can determine what those spaces are, and then maybe we, as a group, could come up to get maybe a recommendation to council for a gardener if necessary, or how much time you think it might take.
Well, I don't know how much time the park plan would take on February 23rd at 1:00. But we could say, hey, we're gonna get together anyhow, maybe we can
Do the same thing.
go down there and look at that.
She also brought up toilets and, I stop at rest areas and I would say, 10% of the time, the person before me did not flush.
Yeah.
And, I did not blame the quality of the toilet. I have a 7-year-old granddaughter that, if she uses a particular bathroom because it takes a little bit more to flush, then I have, seen that recognition of the photo. My thought when I saw the photo, by the way, was why didn't we just flush it? And, that seemed like it would be a better solution, but, I think you, could, retain a plumber to come and see if there is, with the current plumbing and water supply, if it has the capability to put a more, intense flush toilet on there. But I think the issue, needs to be, more clearly defined than a couple of times somebody had to go back and flush after people. And, I don't want to sound overly sarcastic, but, that's what I thought when I saw the picture.
Well, I responded to that picture and said, it's plugged or is it just
Yeah.
not flushed? And she said it's plugged.
Yeah.
So,
I just felt I needed to bring it up.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. And I think you can get a plumber to come and get the bid.
Sure.
And, but it's more than just the fixture. It could be the whole infrastructure, the size of the pipe. And when those toilets were built, the intention was not that we would build it at the same standard that they would do in the Empire State Building, you know, so.
Oh, I have one question, which is when the playground is replaced, will the sewer pipe be moved in the playground? Is the intention to move it or will it stay there?
Okay, we would love to be able to put that solid surfacing all the way through. Probably not going to happen this year with the fundraising the way it's going. If I can get enough funding, the idea would be to make it solid surface all through, not only just the new, but old and existing. At that time would be the time to remove that pipe. But somebody said the septic's actually up underneath there. Is it a septic system? Is that what that pipe meant? Or
it was, that's out of date. There's no use of.
Yeah.
There might
the
be
pipe is an access pipe to some kind of something, but those things are on my septic tank. The same
Mhm.
thing. It's like, you know, where you have the mounds, you'll see
Yeah.
those pipes sticking up, which made me think that it's not hooked up to the sewer line. Could it have not been hooked up to the sewer line?
No, I think it's, I think you said the.
Well, if it's full, then there's no problem. We just remove the pipe and.
Yeah,
done.
And you're done, you know, it's not a septic system anymore. But
We'll need to clear that with Public Works, because I believe that they had told me that that was a sewer line that ran through there, not a septic.
So you could take and build some sort of a foyer over the top of it that is only removed by the people when they need to. And
But the problem with that, if then that stuff is moving, it's not safe, everything has to be
Yeah.
bolted down.
Yeah.
For safety reasons, so that's gonna be the main thing that makes it. So we have to look at that
Yeah.
as an issue.
so I wonder, going forward to address the toilets and the septic, if Public Works could, Sherry, if Public Works could kind of look at the toilets, see if they do need to be upgraded, or if it's the pipes, as Ron is suggesting, you know, that it might just be pipes or something, and then to kind of take a look and make a final determination if it's sewer or what it is.
Yeah.
And could they give us a recommendation, so we have a starting point if we need to, like, get a plumber to come out and look at things?
Yeah, absolutely. I can touch base with John and have him run out when he's got time and take a look.
Okay, that would be awesome. That would give us a starting point, I think, then we answer some questions.
And just one more thing, if we do look at getting new toilets, since it sounds like a flushing is a problem, maybe we can upgrade to those kind that.
Automatic flush.
Automatic flush, and that can take care of the problem. And usually those, if you'll notice, are high pressure toilets.
Yeah.
Or at least they seem to be, in the I've never wrapped it. Yeah,
okay, we had, thank you, we all got this, from Park Post, talking about potholes are starting to form in the road entering the park as well as on the main loop of the thing, and there's fabrics starting to show and a number of, things that, I'm guessing that the, parks, the maintenance people will take care of, the public works people. Yes, no, we get this?
No, I did not.
Made contact. with
Oh,
us.
it's from Tim.
Yeah, at the bottom of this recording.
Um,
I assume those things are being addressed.
Potholes have been on, for a couple of weeks, I don't know, a month now. Like, it's been on his report for a while.
okay.
So
A couple of years ago, Vision Toledo gave, city, $600 worth of gravel. They put it all in, so that can still happen. But,
Well, again, and I don't wanna push everything up, it's not my intent, it's just to get us a starting place is, can Public Works give us an idea of
Right.
how many yards of gravel we would need, and what kind of fixes actually need to happen. I appreciate Tim's input that we have to do this stuff, but we need a little more information, I think, before we can say, yeah. let's
No.
do it. Gravel.
I'll go ahead and I'll get with Tim on that list and start working with him on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way I'll work with him on that and then bring back to the park board anything that needs to be brought back to you guys.
Okay, thanks, Sherry.
Yeah, no problem.
In regard to that, do we have, and this is to, Sherry, do we have, Public Works, like a work order that we submit? Or they always have a record, it's the date that you put it in, we do have that system.
Yeah, he has a work order. Yeah. he does a
So
work order.
people can put in a work order, so that's probably what you would need to do. And
Okay.
so that he knows what he's expected to
Mhm.
do, and he can bring that up to council. I have a work order for this, I have a work order for that, and get a decision on what they want him to do. I think that's how most cities do it.
So Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Tim does generate work orders now, doesn't he?
I know he usually emails them in, but yeah, I do believe and Carly can probably answer that too, but I do believe that we have a form, but I know normally he emails us and emails the public work guys at the same time.
I'm not sure he knows how many yards of
Yeah.
gravel he would need, because he's not public works.
Right.
That's why the public
That's
works
why
is there.
they're-
So,
yeah.
but he could put a work order and say, we need gravel, and then public works would say, okay, you need
This
3
is what
yards.
we
and then
need.
he'll-
Then it should come, then we go, yeah.
He might, it might not, not even
Right.
go back to you,
Yeah.
because public works would be like.
That's good.
I know that Fisher, when he was doing it, he would actually drive out the goods quarry with the company, with the city truck. And take it at like a yard at a time or something, but that way we didn't have to pay for the whole big dump truck.
Yeah. But you should see the wear and tear on that
Yeah.
trailer and the,
Oh,
and the rig as a result. So,
Maybe
it's,
not such a
Might be
good
better.
it's not as
All one fell
Yeah.
swoop.
Looking for, schedule a park visit, so we'll look at doing that on the 23rd.
you guys need to be really buttoned down on that park plan in order to pull both of those off
Yeah,
in the same day.
so everybody, we have to agree that how well prepared have gone through all 37 pages.
So I know we're digressing, but Joe, what do you need out of that park plan? I mean, there are a couple of phases that you mentioned that could be included that would help.
Yes, we'll need to just take a look at here and decide what park areas are missing.
Mhm.
And the information following the way that they have, there's no point remaking this whole thing from scratch. It's the same criteria that they have for everything else. And so upgrading the money part of it.
Okay.
Because, and do we even want to put the money part in that? The reason I'm saying is because next week it's out of date. And this plan is good for 6 years, so.
So we want to also work on the park plan that we already have too, because there's,
Yeah.
that's already in the comp
We
plan.
just
So
basically
those,
updating.
Yes.
those plans are in the comp
That's-
plan.
That's what we're talking about.
Reinvent.
Yeah, yes, yes. So we're not going to reinvent anything, but we might separate some things.
Right.
Better to define. We don't have control over this. These amenities are not ours.
Mhm.
So at this point, that looks.
When I looked at that, I thought some of these things I don't even think should be in there.
Right, and
You
that's
know,
a decision we can make at that, when we're
Yeah.
doing that, but maybe you can look at it and everybody can form an opinion. Yes, I
Mhm.
want it the same, no, I want it changed,
Mhm.
I want it totally separated, and maybe change that to a tourism plan.
Okay.
If we want to do that.
Mhm.
So also, I am going to go, there has been, there's copies of other park plans that were submitted for, to the RCO, for the Recreation Conservation Office. And I'm gonna look in there and see what they're requiring, because this is the main reason for us. If they're requiring it, it's gonna meet the growth
Yes.
management ask and of the needs. And that's probably the only place we're gonna be. I don't think we're gonna be using this park plan for a lot of other things other than guidelines.
Right,
But-
yeah,
And to get grants because it's a requirement,
yeah.
you know, so, yes, so I will check on that. Let me write that down. So I remember.
Well, Joe, I would like to invite you personally, as far as the representative group here, could come to that meeting on the 20th.
Yes, I will.
Yes.
I marked it in, so I was gonna gate crash and you.
Yeah. I was gonna come and get you.
I'm gonna volunteer myself to come.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll be mostly silent.
no, anybody.
It's not an official.
No, it's a workshop, so anybody that interjects anything is gonna be terrific. We do that.
Okay, well, any more public input?
Actually, you had your boat derby. Your boat derby you wanted to discuss.
Yes.
That would be another, other business item.
Oh,
Okay, is
Okay.
talking about grants another item too, Cindy, as well? Or is this where we're going?
this is a reply I got just, I don't know, 3 hours ago from a guy named Jeff Barnhart, who is the district director for District 8, which includes Washington, Oregon, Idaho, yeah, for the North American Model Boating Association. And they want, they sent something out a few weeks ago. And I sent a map, an aerial drone picture of the Wallace Pond. And they saw that and they looked it up on Google and they said, yeah, this looks like something we could do. And so I asked him a bunch of questions and he got back to me this afternoon and said that realistically, we would be looking at late summer, early fall, put on the race. It needs coordinated with other race schedules and all of that. Generally, they have 15 to 25 people that bring about 20 to 30 boats for racing in different classes. The races will run from 8 a.m. until 2 or 3 p.m., depending on the number of race entries we have. We usually hold these on a Saturday. Our races are open to the public. Spectators are welcome and encouraged. And I suggested maybe the Lions Club or something like that could have a concession stand, and they say, yes, that would be great. And they have, in order to keep everyone safe and follow the rules laid out by the NAMBA,
American Boating Association.
Insurance policy, while the boats are racing, will need to set up a small area on the beach that is open only to NAMBA members for the hot pits where we start and launch the boats. By the way, these boats are like this
Yeah.
big. Yeah, they're like
Awesome.
4 feet, you know. They, in addition, for safety reasons, we can't run boats with swimmers or full-size boats present. So we have to shut it off to make sure that that isn't happening. From what I've read, it sounds like swimming has been closed due to algae, so hopefully that's not an issue. And if we are able to have the pond closed for boats just for the hours of the race, and we post a couple of signs around that. And of course, I don't think boats use the Wallace Pond. If ever.
Hardly ever.
So anyhow, that's something that's could actually happen. I don't know, we'll see. So I'm gonna continue looking at it, see what we can get. Maybe we can get another event.
What if we did the walk in the park? They do it the day of the walk in the park, and the walk in the park is actually all walk in the parks.
Different.
Or parks and they go there, and it's
I
not many
would
people
love to
go
make
around
little
that,
walks to the park.
and then go over there and do that one. It makes more sense of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe they would like to do it on the 7th.
I don't know.
Mr. Gordy walk the parks.
It sounds like it's contingent upon whether
They
the
want
other
to.
races that,
Yeah,
all of the 4 states. So anyhow, that's,
maybe we can make a bigger deal for them, you know?
and of course, remember, that is a county park, not a city park. So, if we gave the endorsement, yeah, let's do that, go ahead and do it, then we have to talk to the county and say, here's what we would like to do. I'm sure they would love to
Oh, yeah.
have use of that park.
Yeah, and they'd send someone down to clean it and look after it and clean it. Before.
They would love to give Toledo that park.
They sure would, but we can't. afford it.
We can't afford it.
Well, they cannot, but, yeah.
Yeah,
The plan we had come up with a few years ago was that the county would always own the park, but that Toledo would take care of testing water and a few little incidentals and policing it. And then Lions Club or Vision Toledo or whatever could hold events there throughout the summer and promote festival or something. I don't remember. And, but then COVID. Shut everything down.
It became a dead issue is what happened.
Yeah.
It never followed through anymore. But, you know, now that we're starting to get into this recreation and conservation granting system and looking at that, you know, we may be able to get grants that will turn that one of those parking lots into space for, you know, campers and all of those things. And that could be a money maker, make enough money to keep, you know, where it is feasible for that. Or even if it's yurts or huts or whatever, if somebody else is paying for it,
Yeah.
you know, we don't care.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is, and I'm surprised the county didn't look at it, that property next door that's adjacent to that is up for sale. It was about a month or two ago, and that would have been the time to get this grant to buy
On the other,
acquisition.
on the other side of the trees,
Yep,
as you come in.
yep,
Oh.
yep, somebody on that is fixing it up, there's a couple of houses and we're in as-is condition kind of thing, and
In case you were wondering about this boat thing, they have 2 types of boats. One is electric and one is gas. Nitro, whatever.
they're not doing sale.
Yeah, and some of them make noise. And, but the guy who brought all this up to me is Lyle Barker, who lives right next door to the park, and he was all for it, so. I guess he figures if a few hours of noise. If that's what it is.
yeah.
Are there any environmental concerns with the critters that live around there? If they've got like gasoline engines or whatever fuel they're using, dumping, I mean, it's a pretty nasty pond anyway.
They stock the pond every so often with fish, so
Yeah.
I don't know. And then we test it almost, I think, I'm not sure if it's every day or not. So I'm sure that there would be a way to know if there's something wrong.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Oh, yeah.
Me too. I thought it was on the agenda, I'm sorry. Some grants that are coming up, and I need your motion after you hear what they are for me to proceed. The first one is, Washington Wildlife and Recreation Program. And I would file under the local parks category. They have several other categories and a massive manual on what to do. But that's the one we would have to have the parks plan for the exception for. And let me see if I wrote on here how much that lady is. It was a lot of money. It was a chunk of change for this one. And it says varies for the amount that you can be requested to match. But my idea is that we're gonna claim that my handicap playground is phase 1. Thereby, we can use that so as the rest of the improvements, in particular, the 120,000 we need to fix the picnic pavilion. So,
So piggybacking on.
so piggybacking yes, and I don't know how much, we may be able to, I've looked it up under the Department of Commerce, and I have found all kinds of data that shows that Toledo is needy, that we are on a scale, and out of 10, we hit a bunch of number 9s as far as vulnerability, all kinds of things, distressed county, distressed area, distressed this, that. So with that data, I think there's going to be a lot of those questions now, because they're going to have to focus more on need versus, oh, it's a big city, let's just give them the money. So we're going to have to fill that up. But it has a lot of steps to jump through. And one of them is, so they have a plan due, that should be park plan, then they have the application due May 1st, then they have a technical review for local parks category, technical review for, let's see, okay, then there'll be an evaluation on August 19th as well, and there's going to be several things, like we have to do a presentation, and that presentation will need a PowerPoint presentation, I'm sorry. So I'm not all that good. I mean, I did one for the, but it was pretty sad. I saw some of those spiffing ones that were in front of me having to go to the county, and they were really slick. So Eric did say that he'd be willing to help with that kind of stuff. So I may ask him. I know.
That means me.
Oh, does that mean you?
Oh, no.
Maybe
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
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 If someone gets me the content, I'll make it, I'll be happy to make it pretty.
Okay, that sounds great. That sounds great. And it might be a case of us all getting together and coming up with content and what we want to put in there versus just me trying to figure all of that out. And that might be a case we can do, you know, in the park planning and give them some ideas or whatever.
So Joe, while taking all of these notes, I'm actually having a really hard time keeping track of all of the different grants you're talking about. Is there a way that you could maybe do a summary email?
You bet.
That would be
That'd
very, very helpful.
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
consider myself fairly organized, but I'm completely
Oh,
lost.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, very. Yeah.
Because you talked about the Washington Wildlife and Recreation Program. But
Which
in
this
your,
is
in your,
part of it.
but in your email regarding the park plan, you talked about RCO also requiring that. So I'm a little lost as to,
Their RCO has all these different grants, and so that's one of the grants under.
thank you for
Yeah,
doing that.
they have tons of grants, and you have to get into them because there's all kinds of stipulations and all kinds of rules and all kinds of other things that they want you to do in conjunction with that. But for the parks, for what Cindy just asked, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 possible grants
Oh,
for
yeah.
the parks coming up. I already got permission, I think, at some point to go for the Talbot Tribal Grant, which is 50,000. Jake and I did not hear back. We would be applying for that, not as the city, but because they want a nonprofit. And since they're partnering, and this is kind of a partnership to get that playground done, and that is with Chiefs Committee, yeah, Vision Toledo, the city, and Lions Club, thank you. So I'm going to try to track down the reason that they haven't responded to us, because they're requiring an in-person meeting, which will probably be over Zoom. But yeah, so we have not heard back from them, and usually we do. So I'm going to try to track that down here as well. But I will send out, get everybody's emails, and I will send out what I'm looking at and to get more information, because I want to bring it up to the city next week as well. Give me permission to go ahead and start on this thing and at least try for it.
Cindy, do we need that under the government email thing?
Well, again, so I can get Joe a complete list of email addresses. That's not an issue.
That sounds
So
good.
she's in on the.
Yeah, I actually generated that list for Carly the other day, so it's just a matter of forwarding it.
Oh, okay, that sounds really wonderful. That sounds wonderful. And the other thing is there's a T-Mobile grant coming up. And I don't know if you want to run for that, that would be another $50,000 grant. And the reason I say, do you want to do that? If they have a lot of requirements as well, they want to come, if you get the grant, they want to come and have a big party and see it and presentation and all of the above kind of things.
Campers and.
Yes,
uh,
yes.
They-
All of that, lots of picture and all of
See how
that
they
kind
do
of stuff. And I don't know if you are for that or against that, or would care to. That would probably be this, I think cities can, go for that. I'll have to take a better look at it in depth. So that might be a case of the city, but it is the city park, so I would bring it up after today, bringing it to you as the Parks Board, and then bring it to city council next week.
So if I can interject for just a minute, so any of these new grants that you find, it might, just because these meetings do run way longer than they're supposed to. If you find a new grant, I would just send it over to the park board members for them to review. And that way during the park board meetings, they've already reviewed it and looked at what's required. And that way they'll have a good handle on it to let you just be able to give you a simple yes or no without, having to spend a ton of time going through the background on it.
Yeah. Good to me.
Okay. All right. Well, before we adjourn here, I would like to just state what is obvious, that Joe, we really appreciate your whole commitment to doing stuff. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, how many towns our size have somebody that's committed to do grant writing? Which is,
I think it's our only option sometimes for money, and trying to find stuff that doesn't have a lot of requirements. Financial being one of them, where they want huge match and everything. It's a little tough, but that's the only way we're gonna get some of these things done. We just can't expect the city and the taxpayers all the time, so they kind of come up with that money.
well, thank you, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and thank you, Ron, for your
Sure.
work with us in the short term, but yeah. I'll try to get a hold of Mr. Reboyne for our workshop coming up on the 23rd, so that he can at least be privy to it.
Does Joe need a motion? Not?
I think the council is going to approve anything that she's willing to work on.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you want to be on the agenda for the 20th,
Yes.
which is a Tuesday,
Okay,
because there's
yeah.
a holiday on Monday.
Do I need to attend the workshop part of it first or not?
What workshop? This one?
No, the one that's before the city council meeting?
Oh, no, that's for policy workshop. So, but we can put you on other business.
Okay, I will try to get all the grant information from file.
Okay, let either Carly or Rachel know if you need to push it until the 1st of March.
Yeah, some of them
Council?
don't have to push it that far.
Okay.
So that's those grants, some of them, yeah. something like that.
Okay, anything else? Anybody? Okay, motion to adjourn. Seconded, all in favor?
Bye, Sherry.
Hi, Terry, thank you for attending.
Hi, guys.